Capitalism and art mix as well as oil and water. Art, in my eyes, is supposed to be a form of self-expression, an outward flow of thoughts and feelings, a screenshot of time, historical documentation, and a way to push back against the big bad machine of conformity and sameness, where the insane and voiceless can be heard and understood. Capitalism, on the other hand, is the very opposite, the antithesis of art, a system that is built to keep their feet on the necks of the poor, to dangle the carrot of upward mobility in your face while actively creating roadblocks that will keep you poor. Capitalism leeches off the success of others and maintains the status quo of those who dominate the system. When capitalism peeps its corrupt, ugly head into artistic spaces, it acts as a slow building cancer, destroying and eating at every artistic cell that's there. There are so many examples of this. Look at the music industry. When your favorite musical artist first pops up, they are raw and real. Then once they get some money, they lose touch and their music becomes distant from reality. When a music genre loses its monetary viability, they seem to be moved from the spotlight while another genre takes its spot. Look at rock, for example, one of the biggest genres for decades. Now you'd have a hard time seeing any new mainstream popular rock band out right now. Rock has ultimately been replaced by hip-hop, who as a genre has changed so much from its roots, evolving and expanding into something that I see as beautiful. Now it's seemingly falling down the path of rock and roll, being leached and monetized and bastardized all over the world, losing the artistic value and beauty that it once held when it was within the hands and grasp of the people and not the corporate bastards. Popularity isn't an indictment of the quality of the artist or the art coming from both respective genres, but we see who gets prompted as a popular artist and who doesn't, depending on profitability. Even outside of music, we can say the same thing about comics. Capitalism is the reason we get so many of the same superhero comics over and over. Why Dragon Ball started and ended like 4 times in a row, and now why grifters have started popping up and eating all the real comic book fans' lunch for these past few years. For those who don't know, a grifter is a person who engages in petty or small scale swindling. There have been many types of grifters over the years and have carried a magnitude of different titles. The word grifter becoming more popular in the modern American vernacular within the last 5 years, but those other names were con man, snake oil salesman, television evangelist, scammer, and or swindler. Since COVID, many different grifts and grifters have popped up, many playing on people's insecurities, gender roles, political ideologies, get-rich schemes, and so forth. The common denominator among all grifters and the grifts that they push is that they all want to get your money. Many of them don't even believe the nonsense they speak. A lot of them are lying about the wealth or how they got it. They lie about how they got in shape, what protein they use, what workouts they did, or how they can hook up with all these girls and women, all these fantastical lies that you'll see and hear amongst all of these people. Pretty much, they want to convince you that what they are saying or selling you will help change whatever problem you are projecting to have. Can't get a girlfriend? It's not your fault, straight man. It's modern feminism. Now buy my class where I can teach you how to dominate and talk to women. Oh, something overtly racist happened in the news today? Quick, get the alt-right conservative black man or woman to talk about how racism isn't real. Oh, you want to get rich quick and hustle hard? Here, buy my meme coin and NFT and then buy my educational course. Then you'll be set. Oh, a character was race or sex swapped in your favorite already dying franchise? Here, I'll make 30 videos about how you're not a racist or sexist for disliking these characters simply because they were changed to black or a woman. It's not your fault. It's these companies allowing women and black people in the writer's room, not actually skilled, deserving people. That's the problem. It's all the same. Grift. See, as long as there's money to be made, these people are going to change whatever they need to say or do in order to cash in on those who are dumb enough to buy it. The comic book industry has dealt with their fair share of grifters as well. Comicsgate. One of, if not the biggest grifter movement in comics has been Comicsgate. Comicsgate is an alt-right group built up of comic book fans, YouTubers, and creators. What they'll tell you is that the goal of the movement is making real comics that comic book fans will enjoy and have fun with, and just want creators to leave all that political jazz out of their books and tell great stories. That was a greatly veiled lie. What this group really did was spread hate and harass pretty much anyone who was involved with comics that were left-leaning, gay, trans, and or had a main character that was of color, creating long Twitter threads attacking people, going on live streams for hours on end, crying and whining about hot topics they could pretty much find throughout the online discourse, then dragging out the same topic for weeks on end until another hot topic popped up that they can monetize on their channels. There are tons of great video essays and YouTube documentaries that break down the deep lore on all of these Comic Gates goofies, but I'm going to focus on the most popular and the most monetarily successful person to come from that group, Ethan Van Sciver. Ethan Van Sciver, or EVS, was a pro comic book artist, mainly a fill-in artist, and would do small runs here and there for DC Comics. Nothing he ever produced scratched the surface of the success he gained from Comicsgate, a movement he did not start or was a participant in the inception of the group, but easily worked his way into the group and essentially took it over and began to grift his way into all the pockets of all of those who were part of the movement, revamping his old indie comic book Cyberfrog, using the momentum of the movement, and straight up cashed in on all of those fools, racking in millions of dollars between a few crowdfunding campaigns, exclaiming that he can make better comics than those of the big two, though all the boastful EVS was spouting out became moot points once his fans started to get books way later than promised, getting comics packaged very sloppily, getting their brand new products damaged in the mail. A common theme among all the Comicsgate comic book creators, shouting out how much better they can do than Marvel and DC, how unwoke and fun their comics will be just to produce mid-level comics and or not even send out the books on time or even at all. Just cashing in on all of these bigoted racist fools that were part of this movement, then moving on to the next group of disgruntled comic book fans and ripping them off. Capitalism and racism and bigotry is the reason we all know about EVS, but not his more exceptionally skilled comic book artist brother Noah Van Sciver, who makes comics 10 times better than any of the Comicsgate slop that EVS or his cohort has ever put out, writing and drawing so many comics that are about historical retellings and memoir style comics about his life, comics that don't deal with capes or powers or anti-woke bullshit, stories that are more grounded and real. But it seems that these comic book fans rather spend their money supporting bigoted than actual artists. EVS wasn't the only person to maximize profits off of these fans. A new player emerged later on in the Comicsgate space and broke the space of bigots in half. That person was Eric July. Eric July in the Ripperverse. Eric July first started off as a singing YouTuber doing covers of metal and rock songs, as well as putting his own original music out with his band. Who cares what the name of it is? July really didn't gain any mainstream traction until he started going against, at first, what was called the SJWs, or social justice warriors, that evolved into the woke mob. Now it's currently being framed as the radical left and hyper criticizing every piece of media from pop culture and anything that didn't feature a straight white man as the lead with the same conservative viewpoints as himself. Eric wasn't special in adopting this content strategy. He was a dime a dozen, reiterating the same talking points as many of the alt-right and straight up racist and homophobic YouTube channels and Twitter pages online. The only thing different was that July was black, and every right-leaning person loves when a black face is puking up their talking points. They love their token black man or black woman validating every racist or bigoted sentiment they speak. The old, well, Eric July said racism isn't real, and of course he'd know, he's black. Though the internet may make it seem like black people, specifically black men, are more right-leaning or conservative, and all the algorithm bots will lead you down the path of finding these types of conservative black creators, but it's actually not true. Black people have historically and continue to lean left and vote Democrat. These companies know who to prompt up and push out for all those to see, to push to continue to reiterate and repackage their messaging. That is exactly what happened to July. And once he started shitting on comics that featured not only characters that were of color and or of a different sexual orientation that wasn't straight or had women creators behind the projects, Eric July was brought into the Comicsgate space and those adjacent to them, because that's literally all they did. After the crazy success EVS had with the Cyberfrog Indiegogo campaign, July hopped on the wave and was hitting all these goofy bigoted fans in their pockets, starting his own non-political and non-woke comic book company, the Ripperverse, and came out with his flagship comic Isom that crowdfunded millions of dollars with its first issue. Eric July even went on Fox News to promote this comic and his business.
All right, from Superman to Thor, comic book characters are getting a woke makeover. We've been telling you about this. But you have a new comic book publisher promising to ignore cancel culture, and it is paying off.
How unpolitical of him. Way to keep politics out of comics. Anyways, after this, EVS and July had a split, which to me seemed to be because July was becoming more successful than EVS, selling high as hell priced floppies and CGC slab comics, but was actually delivering on his books and having a manufacturer and structure behind his system that was Rippaverse, whereas EVS was straight up just bullshitting and sitting on live streams for 12 hours straight and never getting anything done except for ranting and yeah, just being lame as fuck. Both of these guys pulled the same scheme, made all those biggest feel okay with their hatred of black, gay, and or trans characters, creators, and so forth, and all those who created them, and told those same fans to come over here. I got something better for you, something that will make you feel better, which actually isn't the case at all. Many reviews of Isom and Cyberfrog have generally been panned. Those who've glazed these comics are pretty much biased, and that would be okay, you know, to put out a mid comic, but it's not okay if you prompt up yourself as someone who knows better and can do better than those who you're hard critiquing when actually you can't do better than any seasoned pro. But that was never the actual point, now was it? Making a decent comic, having an artistic statement, or putting anything of merit out there. It was about grifting every dollar they could out of these disgruntled comic book fans. The last grift I want to talk about is the hustle bro himself, who decided comics is the space for him to hustle out some coins from comic book fans, and that's Gary V. Gary Vanderchuk, better known as Gary V, is one of those hustle, crypto, NFT tech bros, a self-help guru. One of those guys you see clips of him giving out some sort of hustle motivational speech on TikTok and Reels with some crazy editing and background music, you know, for dramatic effect.
Here at my dad's liquor store, I built my dad's store for him. That one always hurts because I think I did one of the most noble acts a human with talent can do.
Stop the cap.
An American in America immediately defaults you into not being soft, and you're still going to be profiled and judged. It's just true. And I think that's an advantage in the way the world's going now, because the world's playing out on the internet where the internet doesn't judge that. It's easier. You know why? Because the old white dude doesn't control no more. The internet fixed racism. Internet doesn't give a if you're black, white, transgender from...
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
One of those guys to tell you to stop complaining and work hard. You know, the kind of guy that'll say the reason you're poor is because you don't wake up at 3 a.m. and start your day off. You don't work 50 plus hours a week and you take naps and you sleep more than 3 hours a night or whatever. Not the fact that capitalism is built on keeping people poor with no real upward mobility, never taking into account that there are many systematic factors that keep people poor. Gary is the kind of guy who acts like he made it out of the mud, never acknowledging the fact that he made it all of his initial money by helping his already millionaire father make more millions. And all that millions he got from his father, he used to invest in companies. And some of those companies were like Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat and so forth. You know, they flipped. He made his money, and now he's seen as this magical genius business guy. Gary V goes around giving all those hopeful speeches, investing in startup companies, selling NFTs. With those NFT characters, he has been turning them into comics. Comics that are not made for readers' enjoyment, but for collectors to buy. Buying the CGC graded V Friends is an investment and can be worth millions of dollars one day, like the first appearance of Spider-Man or Superman. Trying to manufacture hype, promoting rare variant covers of exclusive 10.0 CGC covers, telling people how crazy and rare his comics will be in the future, although you can't say something is exclusive if no one's checking for those comics to buy them. When there's no real demand for these comics, they drive up the hype that leads to the scarcity that makes them rare and drives up the cost of said collector's items. And every time someone does spend some astronomical amount of money on these NFT comics off of eBay, people speculate Gary is just buying his own comics back. Again, just manufacturing hype. Gary V and his V Friends comic line to me just seems like they're just made to push and filter people into his V Friends NFTs and not actually about reader enjoyment. They're pushing to collectors and speculators. heroes. Another guy just trying to make a buck off of people's art and passion for the space. But different from the comics guys, this is just a blatant gimmick and cash grab. I feel like most people can kind of smell it. And one thing most of these men have in common is that they know they can hit your pockets by continuing to push their bullshit. Whether it is pushing political alt-right propaganda, hopping on every single hot topic in comics, TV, or movies, and completely crapping on them just for clicks and views, pushing their narratives, and then telling people they can do better when they can't. Or finding out every single comic book sales gimmick that comic book fans generally dislike and try to start a whole publishing company promoting grab bags, rare variant covers, or high graded slab comics over what is actually the contents of the comics. It is all about money and is not about the art or the craft. A craft many people worked hard to hone their skills just to be able to create and tell the stories they want, and or to work on one of their favorite childhood heroes at Marvel or DC or whatever, just for those goofies to come into this space and bastardize it. Worst of all, some combo pro artists are working for some of these companies again because capitalism and art do not blend. But why does this keep happening? The simple answer: money. Capitalism. Money keeps these guys pushing whatever bullshit they want online, and the money from the fans who are buying it up. Once a grift stops working, they'll move on to the next money maker. EVS and July have totally cashed out of all of you while pushing bullshit rhetoric that causes real life harm. All the anti-black speaking point July is pushing making a whole career out of it. The crazy thing is I've seen black fans and comic book creators supporting the work of Eric July. Black comic book artists who I've heard speak about how proud they are of their blackness, but then works with somebody who pushes out narratives online. They'll make it harder for them and others that look like them to get a job or respect in this comic book space. Someone who will have fans thinking you were giving a job not because of your skills, but because you are just black and you were handed this job, that you are just a DEI hire. Same with those comic book creators who work with V-Friends, working with a company that is essentially trying to use every gimmick in comic book history just to make a buck. V-Friends, which is using pros as a reason to bring credibility to the company, while they are, at least in my eyes, losing credibility to true comic book fans. Outside of these people, Marvel and DC, Shonen Jump, Viz Media, they're not any better. Why are these the only options? Why are we minimalized to working for crappy and abusive companies that will restrict your artistic integrity while also not giving you a livable wage or even healthcare for all the money they'll ultimately make off your work time and time again? Look at John Romita's Senior's work that Marvel has made millions and trillions of dollars off of. Same thing with Jack Kirby and so forth. It seems like comic book creators don't understand that all of these companies like a Marvel and a DC wouldn't be anything without them. Years ago, Neil Adams tried to unionize comic book artists to make sure they all got fair wages, the rights to sell their original art, and even work to get some health care, but it failed because of fear. No one wants to disrupt the status quo. Everyone wants to get along to go along, but going along just ends up with many of these comic pros either having to quit making comics or die broke. It seems many comic book artists work for the now, but when an outspark happens to comment and figure out a way to change the system, they just sit back and stay silent while grifters and tech bros control their artistic paths, control the jobs available to them, not using their collective power to make real change to the glaring issues in these spaces. Look at what happened with the hashtag comics broke me trend. Hashtag comics broke me started when comic book artist Ian McGinty passed away at the young age of 38. His autopsy said that he had passed of natural causes, but many people around him attributed his lifestyle working for comics greatly impacted his decline in health, leading to his death. The hashtag evolved into a trend where comic book creators expressed their dismay for the comic book industry, how overworked and underpaid that they were as creators, how many of the wages from the comic book industry haven't changed in so many years, how the opportunity for work is slim to none, expressing how things should and need to be changed. And alas, many people, these bootlickers, especially those from the EVS and Eric July vine of things, came out of the works to tell these hard-working artists to stop complaining. I even saw some comic book pros who are all about the craft and artistic empowerment chalked up all these tweets from these creators as people who just don't want to hustle hard or work hard. Though I've seen some of these same creators complain on their YouTube channel about the exact same dismay of the comic book industry as some of these creators who were tweeting out their outrage using this hashtag. They'll praise a comic book artist for telling Marvel to fuck you in a wild Instagram post rant, but then shit on younger artists or newer comic book artists telling a story about how he had a job where he worked and drew all the pages for the comic just for the project to get canned and not get paid for his work. Why are we so quick to turn to the people next to us who are drowning with us, but never call out and test the ones above us, the ones who are pouring the water consistently on top of us, making it harder for us to climb out, the ones who are creating these shitty working conditions that push artists to take jobs that are shit but pay enough just to cover the bills for this next month. It's like how alt-right guys who say they support women's sports and don't want to see trans women in these sports, but when the WNBA players start to complain and call it the WNBA for not paying them enough, it's a problem, and these players should just be grateful they're getting paid to play basketball to begin with. So what is it? Do you actually support women's sports, or do you just hate transgender people? Just like, do you actually care about the crafts of comics and comic book artists to be able to be monetarily viable and to be able to create freely without the constraints of money being involved, or just what you can get out of comics and that you're okay with the system because you've been able to get the jobs that are not afforded to them? Is it about you or is it about us? Don't spit on my head and tell me it's raining. If you just don't give a fuck, just say that. Either way, if comic book creators and fans keep going down these paths of just selling themselves to the highest bidder and working for people who destroy the culture, this shit is cooked. There are so many ways creators can free themselves, and it's not only just about hustling every day and overworking yourself by putting in hundreds of hours into making comics. It's about creating a positive community, unionizing, and not allowing these vultures and grifters in, realizing these companies and grifters are only as powerful and as profitable as the people who work for them and the people who spend their dollar with them. We, the workers, the artists, have the power, a collective power. The real question is, are you ready though? Are you ready to go down that path of having each other's back, of supporting each other in a real way and not falling into these traps of capitalism? I know I am. I know what I'm doing to make sure I stay successful and stay down this path of success. And I know that the people who are around me, I do my best to lift up with me as well. At the end of the day, all grifts die, right? All these people that I talked about in this video essentially will eventually go away because more times than not, the fans of these people and supporters don't really support them. They support the things that they're saying, and they don't really care about like what they have going on. At the end of the day, if you look at some of those channels that I mentioned, like Comicsgate, you know, that whole movement is dead. Like it died like, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. It hasn't really had any big traction, especially since all of their nonsense they've been doing and all the scams and grifts that were super duper obvious kept popping up. You know, they'll still make money here and there, but if you just like look at the channels like EVS's channel, he doesn't really get that much traction outside of his already echo chamber of people who are already like rocking with him already. But even with Eric July, you know, he has like, I think almost 500,000 subscribers, and he barely gets maybe like 1,000 or 2,000 views on his channel, which is actually crazy. Like you have to try really, really hard to be that bad at getting views on your channel. Like people at the very least should at least get 10% of their viewing. So these grifters, it's just gonna die. Like their time in this space is very limited, because once they start getting called out and they start getting proven wrong or starting to look just goofy and sappy and just dumb, people just kind of move on. But the problem is they move on to the next grifter who's speaking their message in a different way and maybe more palatable way to them. And once that person gets called out, and the same cycle happens over and over. And my whole point of this video is like, how do we just stop that cycle in general, right? Why are people still so attracted to these people? Why don't they have like this discernment and intellect to pick out this grift and how they can spot it? Like I said, most of these guys are just here to make a quick buck and just dip out. When I first came across July Channel, I could already tell from the get-go. I was like, oh, he's just a business guy and he's just trying to make some money and then just leave and then move on to the next thing and then move on to the next thing. When I first got into this space, it was honestly just really, really baffling how many fans and these creators online, these like anti-fandoms there are. It's just like, well, what's the point? Why are all these people just trying to become the bullies online when in real life they were bullied for the things that they enjoyed? And you would think they would be more inclusive to other marginalized people in these spaces. Like, But I guess not. Racism is more powerful than your love for superheroes who are here to save everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really don't understand it. When it comes to the creators who work for these companies, obviously, if you just align with these people and you are in line with their politics and all that stuff, then, fuck you. Like, that's all I gotta say. Like, if you're aligned with racism, bigotry, homophobia, transphobia, and all this craziness, then, go suck a fat one. Like, you don't get nothing from me. I don't care. But like, the ones who are just trying to get a quick buck or are limited to the jobs they can get, I can understand that point, because we are all victims under capitalism. At the end of the day, everybody has a job, and that doesn't make you a capitalist. A capitalist is when you start essentially controlling other people's ways of getting money, but that's for another time. But people need to do it, like, again, is collate and come together and find ways to lift themselves up together in order to make this system better, because at the end of the day, this system is a contradiction, right? They'll tell you to work hard, tell you to pick yourself up by the bootstraps, and then they'll also throw roadblocks in your path to keep you from becoming more monetarily viable within society. And these thinly veiled tricks and things that come along and come around and keep you from becoming better amongst yourself. There's no reason why people shouldn't be able to just go to the doctor and take care of themselves, or be able to have a healthy and successful life right under capitalism, which that's the idea. But obviously that's been a big fat lie that's been around since the dawn of the system in itself. This isn't a call out. I wasn't trying to call out any creators. I didn't put nobody's names in there for a reason. I don't want to do that. It's more of a call in so we can have a conversation that leads to progress and leads to a better space for all creators, and lift up, everybody, not just yourself. Again, I understand if you have a family, you have kids, or you just have bills you need to pay, take the jobs, I guess. But at the end of the day, you gotta look yourself in the mirror and really have a heart to heart with yourself and see what really actually matters to you. If you don't know, I am a comic book creator. I put out my first trade for my comic AWOL. This is the first issue right here for the full length trade that I actually just funded on Kickstarter. I appreciate everybody who's supported and backed. Is a 160-page book, and it's right now available for pre-order on my website. If you order now, you'll be able to get the book with all of the Kickstarter backers. So go click the link in the bio and pick up a copy. I have other comics as well on my website that you can go check out. I really, really appreciate it. Again, I appreciate everybody who supported the Kickstarter. And if you want to go check out AWOL for free, you can go read the pages of AWOL, which is currently being published through Power Metal Magazine. Power Metal Magazine is an all-inclusive new comic book anthology magazine filled with a bunch of dope new creators and a bunch of dope new stories. You can download the first 2 issues right now for free on powertothepanel.com. Also, you can pick up a physical copy if you're into more physical media from one of the creators listed within the books. So if you can, go check it out. Power Metal Magazine is just super duper dope. I actually was able to do the first cover for the magazine, which is really, really fun. The second cover was done by Raymar Brunson, who's another dope artist who I've actually interviewed a few times on, I think, this channel and on my second channel. So go check him out as well. It's a monthly magazine. We have 2 volumes under our belt right now. And I appreciate everybody again for watching this video to the end. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.